So now we are doing number 17. Number 17, negative 2i plus, find the angle between negative 2i plus j and j. So like that, negative 2 plus j and j, right? So let's call these are vectors written in the ij form. So let's call this vector u, and let's call this vector v, right? So I can rewrite those as u can be written as negative 2 1, yes, and v can be written as its I component is missing. That means it's like v equals to 0i plus j, right? So its I component is missing. 0 times I is just 0, so you don't write it. And I, the coefficient of I is just 1 here. So I write 0 to represent I component and 1 to represent the coefficient of this component here. So I have that uv equals to that. So now I'm looking for the angle between those two vectors. So in the plane, this is what it looks like. In the plane, I have something like that, x y axis. So negative 2 is here, 1 is here. So this is my vector u here, and my vector v 0 and 1, so it's somewhere here. So I'm looking for this angle that is here, theta. So there's a formula about angles about angles, and so the coefficient, the formula relating vectors and angle is this one. Cosine of theta, that is here, cosine of theta is equal to the dot product of vector u and v, the dot product, divided by the norm of u multiplied by the norm of v. So that means we need to figure out what is the dot product of uv, and then find the magnitude of u and the magnitude of v. So I usually say I use interchangeably norm and magnitude. Both terms are the same. So u times the dot product of u and v is equal to what? I know that vector u is made of negative 2 and 1, and the other one v is equal to 0 and 1. So the dot product will be the product of the x component of the vector u and v. So negative 2 times 0, so I'm multiplying those two together to get that, plus the product of these two vectors right here. So that is 1 times 1. So this one here is 0, and I get 1. So the dot product is this value. Now I need to figure out the norm of u. The norm of u, or the magnitude of u, is going to be negative 2 square plus 1 square, like that. So that is equal to square root of 4 plus 1, which is square root of 5. Now v, the norm of v will be equal to 0 square plus 1 square. So v will be equal to square root of 1, which is 1. So now I have those values. I know that, so I'm looking for cosine of theta. The dot product of u and v, we found that it was 1. The norm of u is equal to square root of 5, so square root of 5 here, multiplied by the norm of v, which is 1. So the cosine of theta is equal to 1 over square root of 5. So I can put that in my calculator. So I'm looking for what? So I'm looking for theta, right? So I have to do the cosine inverse of 1 over square root of 5 to find theta, my angle. So I put in my calculator cosine inverse of 1 divided by the square root of 5, and I close, and I get 63.43. Now I think they want me to round to the nearest tenth. So math round my answer to the nearest tenth, and I get 63.4, and that is my answer, 63.4 degrees. So yes, that's how we solve this one.